Historic flooding devastates the southeast, leaving a big mess behind. Catastrophic storms that soak parts of South Carolina with as much as 2 feet of rain have finally moved on. But it will take weeks before things are back to normal.
More than 500 roads and bridges are closed. At least 18 dams were breached, and tens of thousands of people are still without drinking water. President Obama has signed a disaster declaration and ordered federal aid for the state. David Begnaud has more from Columbia.
Crews in National Guard helicopters rescued dozens of people trapped in their homes as the deadly flooding punishing the Carolinas got worse on Monday.
We don't have a place to go. Everything I got is gone.
Several dams were breached, sending water pouring into already flooded communities and prompting mandatory evacuations in Richland County. Since the downpours began, 18 dams have failed.
I mean, this has been one of the worst things we've seen in the entire time that I've lived here. And you've got people who are displaced from their homes, people whose businesses are wrecked. You know, I don't know how long it will take for all of us to overcome this.
Streets in Columbia, South Carolina continue to give way to the relentless rush of water. More than 500 roads and bridges have been closed, including all roads leading in and out of the city of Manning. 4,000 people are cut off. Homes, businesses destroyed.
It's heartbreaking.
The building that housed Shelley Manning's family business for more than 2 decades is a loss.
A lot of time spent by my family.
The damage to this church in Charleston left Pastor Paul Rienzo stunned. He and a group of parishioners spent the entire day salvaging whatever they could.
It kind of took our breath away. And then we just had to start thinking about what the next step is.
The next step for emergency management crews is to restore safe drinking water to tens of thousands of people. It is a frustrating reality for people who live in communities now swamped with water.
And David Begnaud joins us from Columbia. Such devastation, David. Is the water receding where you are at all?
Look, it has receded a little bit. Yes, the sun is starting to shine, the rain has stopped, but it is still thigh deep in some places, and it's chest deep about 20 yards behind me. Behind me is where a family took refuge in their attic 3 days ago. They were yelling for help, and a neighbor just down the street heard them, got in his canoe, and then came to get them. You know, it's incredible when you look at this home right here. There was nearly 20 feet of water, okay? You're talking about a home that's on stilts that are 18 feet. They had water up to the front door and inside. That's how much water was here. It's gone down. That's the good news. The concern about today are the dams. There is so much flood water and there is so much debris in areas near those dams that what they're doing is they're going to put Black Hawk helicopters in the air today, and they're going to start dropping sandbags around those dams that are vulnerable in hopes of shoring them up. Because over the next 48 hours, the rain may have stopped, the sun may be shining, but those dams may very well give way. Already more than a dozen have so far.
So the dams continue to be a concern, David, but all that water's moving. It's going somewhere, right? And that's also a concern.
That's a big concern because it's flowing south, down, lower. So places like Charleston could be more vulnerable. Places to the southeast of Columbia. We're in the mid-country, if you will. Around here is the low country. So yeah, some places the water hasn't even crested. So again, don't be deceived by the sunshine, the governor says. The threat is nowhere near over. Places around town are still closed. You got a hard time finding food if you want to eat. If you want to take a shower, it's potable water. Anything you want to drink, you got to drink bottled water. The water has not been fully restored. Some people are without it. I just got a direct message on Twitter from a former intern who used to work at CBS News, who has a family friend who is stuck in their home. They are surrounded by floodwater. They're okay, but they're waiting to be rescued. That's what's still going on, despite the fact that the sun is shining.
And is there any way to get clean water to people?
look, bottled water. I mean, that's the way. Somebody asked the question the other day, what are they doing to kind of repair it? And the city says they're trying, but at this point, they're still actively doing rescues. The colonel of the National Guard said within the last 48 hours, the only thing they could focus on was responding to every 911 call that kept coming in, and they were coming in back to back, back to back, back to back, for people saying, I'm on my roof, or it's coming up to my front door, or I'm on the second story of my home. We met a pregnant woman yesterday who had to go to the second story of her apartment because the water pretty much filled the first floor. She's fine. The water has receded, but those are the stories all over the place. And I think it's important to note, not only has the activation of the National Guard helped with rescues, but there have been so many civilians who have grabbed a canoe or a kayak or put on waders like this and just gone into the water and responded to calls that they hear for help in the area and rescued their neighbors.
All right, David Begnaud in Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you so much, David.